Shalom, shalom. All praise, glory, and honor be unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Machak, Peace and double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, the men who taught us the truth and rule well in truth and in doctrine. Shalom unto the elect, the house of Israel, the elect of the house of Israel, the flock of the Lord's pasture, who are coming back to the knowledge of wisdom and understanding these last days. Shalom to you all. Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Barakathum. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father in the ancient Paleo Hebrew. Yahweh Shai is the name of his only begotten Son. All right, Bahashem Rachakwadash means in the name of the Holy Spirit, Spirit Holy. And Barakathum means bless you all. That is sincere, that of the Lord's flock and pasture. All right, I'm the brother Ishiar, and I'm here with the brother
Shalom.
Yep, and the brother, I don't know if y'all heard it, but the brother Shamyar is also here with us. I know he just got back from work, so let the brother gonna set himself up and get join the lesson with us as well. But we got a lot to talk about. There's a lot of things popping off prophetically. All right, there's a lot of things going on that we need to be paying attention to because it plays into biblical prophecy. All right, all these things that are unfolding is playing into biblical prophecy. All right, and as the new year rolls in, all right, this year's over. 2025 is in the books. All right, today is December 30th. Tomorrow will be New Year's Eve, and the day after will be the first day of the year 2026. Okay, and before we get into any of this, I'm gonna read this real quick. All right, because we're gonna be getting into some of these articles and videos, but this is a copyright disclaimer. All right, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act, 1976. Allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news, reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. All right, this video is for educational, edifying purposes. All right. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. No copyright infringement intended. All rights belong to their respective owners. This video is for educational purpose only. So we're not profiting off of this, all right? Only profit we get is from Yahweh Basham Yahweh Shai, all right? In the spirit. So I do have a preset to open this up before we get into these videos. You had something, Shalom? I know you were about to say something before.
You get yours first. Maybe I'll see. Get yours.
All right, come on. I'm gonna go ahead and bring this out. This is the book of 2nd Ezra 15:1. All right, straight to the point. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. All right, so that's what we've been commanded to do, to speak in the ears of our people. And who is the Lord's people? All right, you so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans. All right, you may be a Black American, you may be West Indian, you may be Haitian, you may be Mexican. All right, Seminole Indian, Native American. You are the Israelites that the Bible speaks of. Okay, and there's also the seed of Israel, of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob scattered into the nations. So if you hear this truth, and the names of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai resonate with you, all right, then you are of the Lord's flock, you are of the Lord's people, all right, you're an Israelite, and it doesn't matter how you look, because the seed of Israel has been scattered into the nations. So the father's line going back is what matters, okay? But your appearance can change over time through generations of mixing with the other nations. All right, so just to touch on that, all right, but the Lord's people, that's who we're speaking to, Israel. What are we speaking? The words of prophecy, explaining to you what's going on, because this world is a very confusing place if you don't have any guidance about what's going on. Even some of us brothers, I speak from my personal experience. Before the truth, I had an idea about geopolitics. I knew about the wickedness of the small hats, but I wasn't able to connect it to the Bible. And I knew there was wisdom in the Bible. I just always said that I don't understand it. And then when I came to the true teachers, that's when we got the understanding. So now we can navigate and understand who are the Edomites. understand who are the Israelites. All of these things are important to know what's going on in these last days. All right. If a brother want to pull 2nd Ezra 6 and 9, okay. Unless y'all had any other points, precepts, you could bring that out as well. Yeah, go ahead. You got it, Shalom.
Yeah, this I got this precept here. I'll read in the GNT just to back up the point that you were getting into. This is Sirach or Ecclesiasticus chapter 39 and verse 1, and this is in the GNT. It says, "But it is different with the person who devotes himself to studying the law of the Most High. He examines the wisdom of all the ancient writers and concerns himself with prophecies." So going into things like this is prophetic. That's why we're bringing this stuff out, right? People sit there and say, you guys go into the same thing over and over, but these things happen because why? Like it says, he examines all the wisdom of all the ancient writers and concerns himself with prophecies. This, what you're seeing right here, as well as the other things that we're going to get into, is prophetic. That's why we concern ourselves with it. Verse 2, it says, he memorizes the sayings of famous men and is a skilled interpreter of parables. See, so going into the breakdowns and things like that. How do you go into Ezekiel 38? Well, like it says, he memorizes the sayings of famous men, the breakdowns, the teachings, and then when the Holy Spirit works with you to break it down yourself, he memorizes the sayings of famous men and is skilled. So once the Holy Spirit works with you, now you become skilled to break it down, and is a skilled interpreter of parables. He studies the hidden meaning of proverbs and is able to discuss the obscure points of parables. But just to add on to what you were saying, with when you brought 2nd Ezra 15.
You had some, Shamya?
Yeah, I'm holding that 2nd Ezra 6 for you.
Oh, Khan, you had anything you want to mention?
We supposed to break it down playing upon tables so that even what you were just saying before we started, that you explained certain things to your seed, and he even remembered certain things you broke down to him. That's how simple we supposed to make it for these simpletons out here. If it wasn't for us, the understanding of the prophecies, it wouldn't be on the earth. Well, through Yahweh Shem Shah speaking through us, we bring forth the prophecies and the true meanings.
That's right. That's right. Make it plain upon tables, as you said. And also the Lord said that we got to come into this thing as babes. So when you speak to children, their mind isn't as corrupted as people that's older. So oftentimes you have a lot better time, teaching these things to somebody who's, considered a baby, in this world. So, just to show the contrast between that and you grown ass niggas that been in the church for 40, 50 years, we tell you some of these things and it's lost on you. And then they get mad at you like, you don't want to tell me about that or not. And then when you actually break it down to them, I got certain older people in my family and I'm telling them about certain things in the news and they're like, man, you always being negative and blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, there is a positive side of it, but you got to believe in the Most High to understand that part. Other than that, you're just going to see the grimness and the bleakness around you. There's plenty of light where we at. There's plenty of positivity when you're talking about what's coming to us. But we got to go through the straight gate first, man. We got to go through this tough time first. All right. But people from the outside looking in, they just, oh, y'all doomsday and doom and gloom. That's negative. I don't want to hear it. But what do you want us to do? Lie to you? Am I become your enemy because I tell you the truth? We breaking it down to you so you could be prepared for what's coming. You see? But yeah, you could bring that out, Baba Kashah.
God. Yeah, come a time you gotta be men in understanding, like the scriptures said. But this is what you call for 2nd Ezra chapter 6, and I'm gonna start at 7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth.
Mm-hmm. Because, you know, oh, you want to say something, Shalom? Oh, I saw you raise your hand. But yeah, you know, Ezra was seeking to understand, you know, why we're going through these things, why the Lord's people is suffering, you know, why that things are the way they are, right? And there comes this point where we just read where it was broken down to him that basically Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Now, when you go to the scholars, they'll try to break it, which they don't even believe in the Apocrypha, but then they want to call themselves breaking it down, right? But they want to say that, you know, well, this has already been fulfilled, you know, but it has not been fulfilled, okay? Because Jacob, you know, and mind you, Ezra is after the time of Solomon, all right? So if that was a so-called fulfillment, why would it be talking about after? This is after that even happened. So when did we have a kingdom after this time? You know? Now we had certain instances of being able to be preserved, but we never were in a seat of power to where, you know, we were able to be good. We were always, you know, dealing with the heathen, dealing with oppression. Okay, so when has Jacob, you know, ever been on top other than the time of Solomon? And this was prophesied afterwards. So it ain't something that's been fulfilled. It's about to be fulfilled because Esau is the end of the world, the end of this current setup. Okay, that's why he said the parting asunder of times, man. All right, the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth. You see, and they always try to downplay end time prophecy. This sounds like something that's very monumental when you read it. It sounds like something that's like a very important moment. So if that's been fulfilled, it's just like it just happened and it was just nothing. What time in history was it fulfilled? That Esau was the end of the world and Jacob was the beginning of it that followeth. You see, but they don't want to get into that, man. But that is the parting asunder of times. That's what we're dealing with right now. And that's why you have to have the Holy Spirit to break these scriptures down, man, because when you go into these scholars, they don't have it. All right. So we see Esau being the end of the world right now. If you can't tell who the Edomites are, you're not going to know what's going on right now, because the identity of the nations is important to understand in the Bible. These two right here are examples of Edom, of the heads of Edom right now, even though they're just figureheads, low-level guys, and really the bankers are the ones that's behind them. They're just spokesperson for the bankers. That's all. That's all these guys are, man. Public relations representatives. That's all they are. And they're touted as though they're, you know, they're presidents and this and that, but they don't have the power. The elites have the power, and if they don't dance to the tune of the elites, they could get JFK, or they can get embarrassed in the media, or they can have their image completely torn down. That's why you notice recently they've been flashing things about, you know, Epstein and Trump and different things, the files and this and that. Really nothing ever comes of it though, but they're flashing it because they're letting him know that you better get down with our agenda. All this America first shit is out the window. They don't give a damn about that. All right. They want their agenda to be fulfilled, and their agenda is to bring about this World War III. All right. And before that, to bring about that chip. All right. I'm gonna play this video. If y'all brothers got any precepts, you can bring it out. If not, you know, we can just go ahead and play this, because there's a lot going on, man, in prophecy, and we're gonna cover some of them things right now, though, as well.
Of the latest strike on a suspected drug trafficking boat, this time in the Eastern Pacific. This morning, the U.S. military releasing video of the latest strike on a suspected drug trafficking boat, this time in the Eastern Pacific. Officials say 2 narco-terrorists were killed. It's the 30th U.S. strike of its kind at sea in recent months, but now word of what appears to be the first land attack of this campaign. President Trump saying the U.S. hit a dock in Venezuela, but not saying exactly who carried out the attack.
Did the military do that? Can you share with me?
Well, it doesn't matter, but there was a major explosion in the dock area where they load the boats up with drugs. They load the boats up with drugs. So we hit all the boats, and now we hit the area.
The president was asked if the facility was taken out by the military or a separate entity like the CIA.
I know exactly who it was, but I don't want to say who it was. But you know, it was along the shore.
President Trump, back in October, confirmed he had authorized the CIA.
Looking stressed the hell out, man. Excuse me. Looking stressed the hell out. All right. Because they're putting on, they say one thing in the media, and it's what's really happening and what and the reasoning why. And then we got another video we're gonna get into. As a matter of fact, you know what? I'm gonna play that right now. I think now would be a good time to play that video, that clip from IG. It's a particular page. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and play it. Let me know if y'all can hear it.
To take Venezuela because we are about to lose economic activity from Taiwan due to a Chinese invasion. The Telegraph is reporting from a top secret document that the U.S. military has assessed that it would be destroyed if a confrontation happened between Washington and Beijing over Taiwan. Document points to over-reliance on Chinese goods, along with their hypersonic missiles that can destroy aircraft carriers within minutes, which leads into what we are doing into Venezuela. In Taiwan, we have economic activity at about $130 billion per year because of chips, AI, and other things. At a modest recovery at $60 a barrel, Venezuela could output $190 billion per year. It is now clear and obvious to me. China is about to make a move on Taiwan, and we are taking Venezuela because we would not be able to economically survive without the output from that oil. This is why the president and the government is not making a case to Congress. It would induce a panic. It's the only reason why we have 25% of all of our forces right off the coast of Venezuela, currently in a pre-World War. Trump has moved
In a pre-World War, right? Because as we know, World War III is a major biblical prophecy, and a brother can hold the second woe, the third woe coming quickly. We'll pull that Revelation, I think it's 11. As we know, the MOTB has to come first, right? But that doesn't mean that the buildup, you know, the prophecies feed into each other. So the buildup to World War III is playing into the prophecy of the MOTB. So we know it ain't going to go all the way full force because the MOTB has to be made mandatory. All right. So a lot of people are panicking. You'll hear certain talking heads like Scott Ritter or other people say, you know, we were one step away from World War III. The missiles could have flew just yesterday, but we know that that's not the case because we measure the time diligently. All right. And in measuring the time diligently, we know what has to happen and what sequence of things has to happen in terms of the major prophecies, right? You have to have the MOTB before that destruction comes, all right? Because people are going to have to pick a side, whether they side with this man and his world. All right, this is what you want to side with. I mean, just look at it. You know, it looks through. It looks old and tired and finished, man. This is what we're looking at. What you see on the screen is Esau is the end of the world. What you're looking at on the screen right now is Esau is the end of the world. And everything that's playing out is him trying to hold on to that power when he knows he can't. Okay. And they always, you know, again, with public relations, whenever the company's going through some kind of drama or some kind of controversy or some kind of calamity, they're not going to put that out for the public. They're going to act like everything is cool because they don't want to ring the alarms, because what will happen? People will start to divest from that company. Right. So they have to make it seem like, you know, there's a lot of people that are invested in this, man. They have to make it seem like, no, it's all good. You know, yeah, we hit Venezuela. There's another video of him talking about China. I don't have it right now, but, you know, basically he was saying that, downplaying it, you know, like, you know, me and Xi have a good relationship. I don't think they're going to do anything with Taiwan, you know, so on and so forth. But the truth of the matter is, what they're doing is mirroring what America's doing on the Western Hemisphere. They're doing it out in the East, okay? Because Taiwan is allied to the U.S. and the U.S. has an interest in there, as he mentioned, in the chip manufacturing business and a lot of other things. All right, because Taiwan has the technology in order to make those, right? So they are very heavily invested in that country. The same way that China is invested in Venezuela. So what did the US do? They made a blockade, all right? And they're trying to control the commerce, in and out of that country. So it got to the point where I think it was a Chinese oil vessel was coming out of Venezuela, and Venezuela had to provide military support to protect that vessel, right? Because that's their interest over there, all right? Because it's all tied to economic things, all right? The wars don't just pop off because they just want to let, there is a military industrial complex where they do get a lot of money, billions and billions and billions of dollars, trillions really when you look at the big picture, in selling war, but it's also tied to economic things like oil, all right? Like who's gonna feed their country what? Who's getting this much resources? All tied to resources. So the same thing that the U.S. did, they have a blockade around Venezuela. Like he said, why would they be setting up so much around Venezuela? Because obviously it's about the resources, right? Then you have on the other side of the world, China is like, okay, well, you're going to set that up around the country that we ally to. Well, shit, we're going to do that to Taiwan. It's really all about the U.S. versus China, and it's these other places, these other countries involved as proxies, right? So Taiwan now having that, which we're going to actually get the article on that real quick before I get ahead of myself. But you got that Revelation 11?
Oh, you had it, Shalimar? All right, go ahead.
Yeah. This is Revelation 9 and verse, 12. It says, "One woe is past, and behold, there come two woes more hereafter."
That's it. Hey, straight to the point. The second woe is past. All right. Read it one more time, matter of fact.
What was that, Revelation 9?
Yeah. Revelation chapter 9 and verse 12. It says, "One woe is past, and behold, there come two woes more hereafter."
Mm-hmm. So yeah, those woes are talking about world wars. So we already passed. We have World War I already happened. All right, World War II already went down. Now we on the precipice of World War III. Okay, and as the dude said, this is pre-World War III activities. All right, and we know every time we see this build up, that shows you that we're closer to the end, because it's not like everything is just going to happen in an instant. Everything is a buildup. All right, it's a buildup. So troops got to be moved to this situation. Pieces got to be moved on the board to different locations. All right, China has to make its move on Taiwan. Okay, and they just said that they're deep down, they're panicking because they know they can't possibly control. Why are they so focused on Venezuela all of a sudden? It's been there for so long, but this is the first time in history that they actually hit Venezuela on the ground level. All right, they did take that oil tanker, and they did take the oil, and they said they're just gonna take the tanker and the oil. They just G'd that shit. But this is the first time they actually hit Venezuela on the ground. All right, so what's that playing into? World War III, economic woes. Because if this escalates, and then you looking like you have a perfect storm of things happening, because we're also going to get into the whole thing with Iran. Okay, so that's happening simultaneously. All right, so you can discern the face of the sky, but can you not discern the signs of the times? The signs of the times is clearly showing you what time we're in. That Yahweh Shai is going to be back very soon, man. All right, maybe at the end of this year, end of 2026, maybe 27, 28. All right, we know that the MOTB has to be made mandatory, so we're waiting on that. But in the meantime, we're watching on these geopolitics, man. All right, so I'm gonna read this.
Hey, real quick, you said it's why now with Venezuela, but I just looked up how long has it been known that Venezuela has a lot of oil. It says it's been known for over a century that Venezuela has vast oil, with significant discoveries in the early 1900s. First well was in 1914 and the major gusher in 1922. transforming it into a global oil power by the 1930s and leading to massive wealth in the mid 20th century, despite its immense reserves being known for decades.
Yep, that says it all, man. Okay, and you got those memes online where they talk about a nation. You know, they want a dose of freedom, aka we got to go take their shit because they got resources, man. So the oil is what it's all about, man, because they need that. They need the energy. All right, they need to be able to fuel this AI thing. All right, so what you're seeing is the battle for resources of who's going to get what in order to have the best AI system up and running. Okay, and that's a whole nother, but it's like all these different things that's happening. You got the AI, you got us approaching on AGI or artificial super intelligence or artificial general intelligence, which is when AI basically has a human level of reasoning or better. All right, so it basically expands over the actual human brain. Okay, and they're getting to that point. All right, the Lord might cut them short before they get there, but that's what they're building towards, and that's where you have Skynet, and that's where you have basically that whole Terminator scenario. Okay, you go into X-Men, the Sentinels. All right, they were after the X-Men. Okay, and they were after the X-Men because they had powers, and who does that represent? Us. So we see it all playing out, man. That's why a standard is going to be raised up.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say, America going after Venezuela for the oil, and China with Taiwan. And I looked it up. It says Taiwan is the undisputed global leader in producing the most advanced microchips, including those essential for AI technology. Taiwan, primarily through the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, is responsible for manufacturing over 60% of total global chip output, more than 90% of the world's most advanced chips. Go figure.
See? So that chip market is really what they're after, man. And that's why, why you would say, why the hell does America care so much about Taiwan, this island, out off the shores of China, all the way. But again, he need to keep it at home. He's always involved in somebody else's business. Okay. But why? There's a method to the madness. They want them chips, man. All right, because those are essential, like the brother said, for AI technology. So it all ties in hand in hand. And that's what you get when you listen to the prophets of the Lord, man. We're telling you and breaking down and connecting all of the pieces to the puzzle together, man. All right. And then we're telling you from the scriptures, because there's other people, truthers, that break certain things down, like we just played that other guy. All right. But in terms of understanding what it all means, giving you the meaning and giving you the purpose and what you have to do, which is repent and keep the faith, all right, and praise the names of Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, and don't take the chip when it drops. All right, don't take the MOTB, because that's going to be the hour of temptation, and everybody, like Yahweh Shai said, is going to come as a snare. Matter of fact, if a brother could bring that out, all right, Luke 21, about that time being a snare. Meanwhile, y'all let me know when you get it, and I'm gonna start reading this. This is from NPR. It says China flexes blockade capabilities near Taiwan on second day of military drills. December 30th, 2025. All right, it's breaking news. Okay, this came out just this morning. A Taiwan's Mirage 2000 fighter jet runs past an airplane fort at an airbase in Hsinchu, northern Taiwan, Tuesday. Okay. China's People's Liberation Army staged a second day of large-scale military drills around Taiwan on Tuesday, unleashing a live fire show of force as part of what it called Justice Mission 2025. And 2025 is almost over, so they must be moving quickly to do something. and they're looking to make their move because now you see how the chessboard, you see like Taiwan and Venezuela are like two bishops. You know, you could call it a bishop, a rook, or one of those lesser pieces on the board, but they still have a lot of value. They're not really pawns, okay? They're more so essential pieces to victory, right? So they see, okay, they got one of my bishops, so you got to go bishop for bishop. If you take one of mine, I got to take one of yours. So they see that America's moving on Venezuela, but really America's moving on Venezuela because they see the threat of China taking Taiwan already. And they know that that's economically going to annihilate Babylon the Great, America. So when they can't win economically or they can't win technologically, they take you to war. Because what is this man's blessing? The sword. Okay. As a matter of fact, what is the oh man, there's a precept. I'm gonna bring it out. Y'all brothers got that Luke 21.
This Luke 21 and 35. For as a snare shall it come on all them the earth, whole earth. Did you hear? I'm gonna read it again. Yeah, I'm gonna read it again. Slacking, my phone was ringing.
That's all good.
For as a snare shall it come on all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth. Watch ye therefore and pray always, that ye may be counted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man.
Yep. 2026 as a snare, man. As a snare. What is a snare? A trap, man. Okay. There's another precept in the book of Psalms. I'm gonna grab it real quick. Psalms 9 and 16. It says, Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai is known by the judgment which he executed. Oh man, I gotta read up. Salakia, man. Yeah, this Psalms 9 is one of my favorites. This is a death song. All right. When you read the first verse, it says, to the chief musician upon Muf Laban, which when you go into the Hebrew, that's Mawaf Laban, which is death to the sons. The sons of who? The heathen nations. A psalm of David. I will praise thee, O Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, with my whole heart. I will shoot forth all thy marvelous works. And that's what we're doing. You know, we're praising the Lord and we're showing his works and letting you know what he's going to do, because as China fights, Asia, you know, these Moabites fight, as Edom fights for his, you know, they're not thinking about the fact that the Heavenly Father is about to get ready to send his son. All right, well, he's on the verge of sending his son back, Yahweh Shai, you know, to rain on their parade. You have some, Sham y'all?
No, you good, huh?
Psalms 9 and 15. The heathen are sunk down in the pit that they made. In the net which they hid is their own foot taken. Because them going for this technology, you see how much this means to them by the fact that they're willing to go and try to take down Taiwan. They're willing to go at America. America's willing to go and, you know, risk, and, you know, all this military adventurism is happening. All right. And like I said before, it's chess, man. All right. Different pieces are being moved on the board. All right. Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai is known by the judgment which he executeth. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hands. Higeon Salah. All right. It says the wicked shall be turned into hell, which is dealing with the grave and death and judgment, and all the nations that forget Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. These nations, they're not thinking about Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. So for these Genesis cats, these nations, they weren't about raising up this system. You know, and you over here and trusting in your enemy, trying to bring them in the fold, but they're not thinking about the Lord, man. They're not thinking about Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Like Elder Yashawamba always say, they're not thinking about the throne of David being set up. They're not thinking about the house of David. They're not thinking about the house of Israel being raised up. They don't want to be slaves. Everybody wants to be the top dog, man. It's natural. And we expect that. That's how they should be. They should be for their people, but we're for our people. You see? So that was it though. The heathen is sunk down in the pit, pit which they set up. And again, that's how Yahweh Shai said. Matter of fact, bring that out, Bible Shai, one more time, Luke 21.
God, Luke 21 and 35. For as a snare shall it come on all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth. Watch ye therefore and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man.
As a snare, as a trap, is coming because they're hanging that AI, and AI is very appealing to a lot of people because to a lot of people are lazy. They don't want to work. They've been having these people slave for centuries, man. For decades and decades and decades, dealing with this generation. Even beyond that, their parents for centuries. People just been slaving to the elites, and now they're like, all right, listen, y'all tired of slaving, so on and so forth. Now we have the solution to everything. AI. Don't worry about having a job because we're going to just pay y'all, but you just got to do one thing for me first. And we know what that one thing is. You got to get down with their technology and you got to allow them to put the technology inside your body. Okay? Because we don't own none of this. We don't own any of this system. This is all there. So they reserve the right to tell you you could be a part of it or you cannot be a part of it. That's what niggas don't seem to understand. Y'all have this sense of entitlement, like this man is going to be just with you, and this man, like they're going to use AI. For all of a sudden, they're going to get a heart and use AI for everybody's benefit. They all of a sudden going to use it to help people when they've been destroying and oppressing the whole planet. All right, everybody's struggling, everybody's fucked up. AI is supposed to be helping all this, but look at the reality of what's happening. Everything's more expensive. The food quality shit. The pollution is at an all-time high. Cancer is getting higher and higher every year. People are dying every year. So they talking one thing, oh yeah, it's going to be a utopia with AI, but where's the results? The AI is happening and shit is consistently getting worse. The more they develop it, it's an inverse relationship. AI goes here and the quality of life on Earth is getting more and more worse. So you have to be a real fucking asshole and a stupid idiot to believe that, AI is going to be the way out. And yeah, they could use AI to make things better, but are they going to do that? No. Look at what's going on. It don't take a rocket scientist to figure it out, man. It don't take a genius to figure it out, man. That they have AI and they're not using it for your benefit. Okay, so again, as our Lord Yahweh Shai said, it's coming as a snare. It's coming to trap you up. Okay, it's coming to lock you into this shit. Okay, lock you into this man and his system because he knows he's going down. So what's he going to do? He's trying to take as many souls as he can down with him. Okay, because he's full of hatred. All right, for you, especially for you 12 tribes of Israel. That's who he hates the most. And Esau really has an obsession with us, an obsession and a hatred. Because he dragged us over here. He uses us as entertainment. If there was no Israelite, Esau, he would just kill himself. Because he would have nothing to do. He lives to oppress and to fuck us up and to hate on us. Go ahead, Doc.
No, I think Shalimar had a point before me. I was just doing something. Oh yeah, well, like you were saying, Esau don't give a fuck about Elam, or Moab. When you really think about it, he still got in his mind the days of mourning my father are over. Then would I slay my brother Jacob? That's never going to depart from his thought process. That's his main agenda, to get at us.
And that's why you have everything you see playing out now. Esau has a chip on his shoulder, like, hey, well, I'm going to build this utopia, and I don't give a damn about what the Most High thinks. These Israelites are telling me this and that. Well, I'm going to set it up anyways, and if I got to kill as many people, the ends justify the means, and they just reason and all this type of shit in their head to do these things that they do. All right? Well, I'm going to read some more on this. You had some, Shalomah? All right, you got it, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to explain what you get into what you was explaining earlier with the oppression, and I uploaded a lesson earlier, so I'm just gonna pretty much regurgitate what I was going into in that lesson. What you're essentially explaining is oppression through convenience, And they're bringing out a system to where they're saying it's convenient for you, but essentially it's going to oppress you. And in that lesson I put up earlier, it was around the whole the Ring doorbell thing, right? And the Ring doorbell thing, they say it's going to have an upgrade now to where, like, if you have it, because my mother has it, if somebody passes by the door, it'll say someone is at the door, right? I apologize about the noise if you hear that out there. But if somebody passes by it, it'll say someone is at the door. So now they're updating it to where now it is now going to say, because it's going to have facial recognition. So now it's going to say, instead of saying someone is at the door, it's going to say mom is at the door now, right? But the thing is that the way that they put it is you can opt in or out. You don't have to have it be there. You can either program it to be that way or have it not be that way. But you don't understand it's programmed to be that way now, right? So now you could opt out and say, okay, I don't want to do that, right? I don't want to scan people's face and recognize people, but you have to understand, you don't know how that works. So they could say, okay, yeah, it's not going to do that, but it could still be scanning people's faces. And in that article, I went through that, how people feel, feel a certain way about that. So, just to keep it very simple, it's oppression through convenience. They're making things convenient, like the MOTB is going to be a means of convenience, but it is to oppress you, to take away your freedom, to pretty much strip you of power. That's why they have things like Yuval Noah, no, not Yuval Noah. Well, he is one individual that says whoever controls the data controls everything. Because if you listen to them, if they control and gather all this data on you, now they have things to what? Means to oppress you, means to control you. You're giving them information about you, right? It's the same thing like with, there's this thing that men say, right? Women say, oh, we want men to open up. But when men have opened up, what women will use that against them, right? So it's the same thing. It's kind of the same thing what I'm trying to explain here is that, look, a person will use what they know about you against you. And them collecting all this data on you will show them how to control the people. The other one is Klaus Schwab, where he talks about you will own nothing and be happy. How? By having all this information on you. 15-minute cities, putting you into these little areas to where they're saying where you can and cannot go, but it's going to be presented as convenience. Hey, you'll have everything where within a 15-minute radius. You won't have anything, but hey, you'll be happy about it. It'll seem like a convenience. They'll talk about it as if it is a convenience, but is a mean of oppression. So it's oppression through convenience.
Hey, that alone is a good lesson right there, man. Oppression through convenience. Because I was talking, it's heavy you say that, because I was talking to a family member recently about, what's going on with AI. And they're like, well, what's your problem with AI, man? It's helping everybody and da, da, da. And I'm like, but there's a dark side to it. I use it. We all use it, of course, but at what cost? Everybody typing these things, these questions and these inquiries and it's an immense amount of energy that is required to produce this information, immense. And that's what people are not understanding, the environmental aspect of it, the biological impact of it. They're not thinking about that. They're just thinking, oh, convenience, 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 convenience. But behind that convenience is death. We were better off in the 70s, 80s, and 90s when shit was just, think about it. Everybody's talking about how convenient it is. I'm gonna give it to you. But everybody's talking about how convenient it is. But yet everybody has this thing about nostalgia for the 90s and the 80s. So which one is it? Are you happier now or were you happier then? But people will be, oh yeah, the 80s, man, the 90s, man, and shit wasn't even all that. Don't get me wrong. I like the music and the food was better. A lot of things were better in the 90s, of course. I wasn't around in the 80s. I was born 90. But really we need this whole thing to be eliminated. But back then things was more simple. It was harder, but it's okay because that's a part of life. Now for us in the kingdom, we're gonna be living on easy street, man. You heathen are gonna deal with hard work and things like that. But human beings were not just meant to just have everything served up and you don't work for anything. Now in the kingdom we're gonna have that, but we putting in the work now. So even that joy that we're gonna experience, that comes with a price of us putting in work now. And we had to suffer for all these centuries, really going back thousands of years. We had to suffer under the Greeks, suffer under the Romans, suffer under all the different nations. So everything you don't get something for nothing. Okay, and that's what they're basically telling you. You're gonna get this with the AI, but it's gonna be in exchange for nothing. Nothing is gonna be required. No, your soul is gonna be required. That's the ultimate price. In addition, everything else we've been talking about, the pollution, the death, the destruction. All right, but you got it, Shalimar.
Right. Like you were saying, you were talking to a family member, they can't see the negatives. Now, like I said, I uploaded this lesson earlier, so I'm just going to regurgitate pretty much the same thing I'm saying, unless the spirit gives me something else. I'm going to use an example like I used in the lesson, using Call of Duty, for example, right? I want to use that a little bit more as an easier example because people more so know Call of Duty and like Marvel Rivals. Anytime you play these games, they always have that terms of service or terms of condition. It's that long list of shit that you don't read, and you press the analog stick, this bitch right here, you take the right stick and push it down and go all the way to the bottom. What do? You press X and say, yeah, I agree to terms of service or terms of conditions. But in that paragraph, they have a whole bunch of lists of stuff of what you can and cannot do. Even though you didn't read it, they have stuff that they say what you can and cannot do, right? Now, like to the point, what you were saying with your family member, oh, well, what's wrong with AI, right? Essentially, AI surveillance. Let's say you play a Call of Duty match, right? You killing everybody. You over here, you 50-0. Another dude, he may be 20-5 or something. Another dude, he's 20-20. But then here's little Timmy at the bottom of the leaderboard. He's fucking 5-45. He's feeding. He's helping the team win because he's getting killed the most. You turn on your mic and say, yo, what the fuck is going? What are y'all doing? Right? And pardon my language if you have kids around as well. Right? But this will help the example. You say, what the fuck are y'all doing? What's going on here, man? Yo, Timmy, you just feeding out here, bro. Like, yo, pick up the pace. Right? Timmy might turn on the mic and say, yo, man, why are you talking like that? It's just a game, chill out. You live it now. You lost it. You heated. You just seeing red. Now you're like, man, see, this is why niggas like you was at the fucking bottom. You start saying all derogatory terms, saying things, right? Talking on the mic. Now, little Timmy goes and reports you. He now puts abusive chat. Now, Call of Duty, they now have to look at that. But you have to think, how do they know that you were abusive in the chat, right? That you were abusive on the mic? Because little do you know that in order for them to go back and do that, your matches are recorded. That whole instance where you have your mic on and everything and you talking, you was calling Timmy a nigga this, that whole thing is recorded. So now when they go back and listen to see, okay, why are we banning this person? Because this person keeps getting abusive chat. They go back and listen to the pretty much the match and hear the things that you're saying. And now it's like, oh, okay, well, you were saying these things. You were abusive in the chat. Now we're going to ban you for 3 days. And if it becomes more, you keep doing it, the ban will get longer. Next, we're going to ban you for a week. And then eventually, if you keep, going against the terms of service, that same stuff that you didn't read, eventually we're going to permanently ban you off of Call of Duty. What is that doing? That's controlling you. Because essentially now, if you know that, what are you going to do now? I'm still going to talk, but I'm just going to give you an example, right? My mic is down, right? Instead of you wanting to say something, you're just going to do this. You're not going to say anything because of what? Out of fear, I don't want to get banned. I don't want to get taken off Call of Duty. I don't want to say anything that can get me banned off of Call of Duty. That is conditioning and controlling you. That is the negatives of AI surveillance because it is programming your mind to say, look, I know, maybe not all people know, but some people do know that, because again, like I said, how would they know that you're either a cheater, that you're abusive in the chat, you turn your mic on and say these things? Because the match is recorded. That 15-minute match or however long those matches be, like 10 minutes or whatever, within that time frame, everything is being recorded. Your scores, yeah, your kill streaks and all that, your scores is getting recorded, but also your voice and the whole match. So now when they go back and look at it and hear you saying this and calling everybody a nigga, calling people derogatory terms, they can now sit there and say, okay, you broke the terms of service, the terms of conditions, we can ban you now. And now once you see that, what are you going to do? Now you're going to chill. Now you're going to relax. You're not going to turn on your mic as much. Even though you may get heated, you may run into little Timmy again, and he's still at the bottom feeding. Not a word is going to be spoken. Why? Because now you are mentally conditioned, and that's how they're going to control you.
Con. Yeah, and that example, that applies to so many different things. Now, that's just an easy example for y'all to understand. But then it applies to so many things, and then anti-Sem, of course, then it's going to be, oh man, I don't want to see. That's why all these people in Hollywood, they tongue is tied up. They can't speak out about certain things because they know that about around the back, on the other side of that, they're going to have their career taken or what have you. Okay, so tying it in with what we've been talking about, this is why they're going so hard to control this technology. This is what it's all about. You could call these the AI wars, man. That would be a fire title for a lesson. You could call this the AI wars, man. I might change the title because that's really what it is. And when you look at it, you don't, we connecting the dots and different things. So as we're teaching it, the Lord has opened our mind to it. And that's really what this is, man. The AI wars about who's going to be able to control the resources that's going to go into that for their AI idol. You got it.
No, just real quick. Remember how it was what was it, a race to space? To get their satellites up there. Now it's a race to AI.
And everything this man does is death. Even when they all of the layers of technology, as he's got more and more advanced, electricity, for example, you have those hospital electricians, a lot of them that they worked in where there's a heavy amount of those cables and different things, and they work with them cables like industrial shit. A lot of those industrial electricians, they end up getting cancer later on because the technology that Esau has, none of it is in accordance with the Most High Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. It all represents death. He doesn't do things the right way. He's upside down. He's crooked. Okay, that's one example. You have people where they have the telephone poles behind the houses, and a lot of those people, it fucks with their brain chemistry and it causes them to, delete themselves, causes them to have issues, Then you have people that are next to a lot of these industrial plants. What happens? The people end up getting cancer and end up getting all types of diseases. So what do you think is going to happen when they take all of this and they put it on steroids for AI, for the processing centers? It's going to lead to an extreme and excessive amount of death. All right. And the only reason why we still here, because I be thinking about man, bro, everything is defiled. How are we even still here? And that's through the grace and mercy of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, man. You see? You had something, Shelby?
No, I was just going to say, just through cellular technology and all that alone, how are we still here with all it? Even birds show signs of wear and tear because of all that. I forget what that is down in Memphis. It was like a big processing unit or something down there. A lot of people down there getting sick. Elon Musk or something built one of those big, like the largest, like a computer processor or something down there in Memphis, and they getting sick. It's only through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shah we still alive.
Yep, I got it right here, real quick. I'm gonna pull that out in reference to what you said. It says in Memphis, Tennessee, which Memphis, that was a place in Egypt, in ancient Egypt. So that just goes to show you that this is also Egypt. It's Rome, it's Egypt, it's Babylon, it's Nineveh. All right, it's Tyrus. It's all those wicked ancient Sodom and Gomorrah. All right, it's all those wicked ancient empires rolled into one. But it says here the primary AI processing center in Memphis is Colossus. This sounds like some X-Men Sentinel shit. A massive supercomputer facility built and operated by Elon Musk company XAI. It is located in the Frank C. Pigeon Industrial Park in Southwest Memphis and is designed to train XAI's AI chatbot Grok. that is the world's largest supercomputer. When completed, Colossus is expected to be the most powerful AI supercomputer in the world, eventually housing nearly 1 million. Come on, man. 1 million NVIDIA GPUs and consuming up to 1 gigawatt of power. My goodness. All right. The facility is situated in the historically industrial area of South Memphis. And who do you have in Memphis?
You niggas.
I was waiting for you to, that was like the part in the song, the drum solo.
Come.
I knew you was gonna chime in, but yeah, that's what you got. That's what you got, man. Nothing but niggas. Specifically near the Boxtown and Tulane Road neighborhoods, an area that has faced a legacy of environmental justice issues. Now let's do a little further digging, okay? Let's see, what's the primary racial demographic? What's the primary racial demographic of I know North Memphis is niggas because I remember that Project Pat song. North Memphis. North Memphis.
I think that place is like near Tulane University.
Tulane. Let's see. Tulane University, it says, is a lot of whites. Let me see.
Oh, Salaki, no, I'm tripping. Tulane is in New Orleans. My bad.
Boxtown, Memphis, and Tulane Road, Memphis primary demographic. Let's see. There you go. What does it say there? Boxtown in southwest Memphis, including areas around Tulane Road, is predominantly a black community with deep historical roots. Founded by formerly enslaved people facing significant environmental justice issues from nearby industry and characterized by lower median incomes compared to broader Memphis, with residents advocating for their land and health. So who's there? Jake. That's why they said, fuck it, man. Throw the AI center right where the niggas be. No fucks given. Okay, and nobody cares. Who is advocating? Which of you so-called super nigga Jakes, all right? Super brew. Where's what's his name to mention this? Dr. Umar. Maybe he has mentioned it, but that's not he's too busy focused on you putting your rod in a white woman. Pocket watching the next man about what he's doing with his money and his time. But they ain't focused on this. All right, an area that has faced a legacy of environmental justice issues. Come on, man. And that's where this Grok thing is going down. So what do you think is going to happen to the people there? Air pollution. Look, the facility uses methane gas turbines for power, a temporary solution that has been the subject of intense scrutiny. Environmental groups like the Southern Environmental Law Center and the NAACP have alleged that the company operated the turbines without the necessary permits for months, releasing significant amounts of pollutants like nitrogen oxides and formaldehyde in the air. Formaldehyde, man. Come on now. Water usage. The supercomputer requires massive amounts of water for cooling, projected up to 1 million gallons daily. But then you're gonna be dying and starving of famine. They're not even gonna be giving you water, but they're gonna be pouring all 1 million gallons of water to cool down the AI computers. And then you want to talk about Edomites could be saved. Fuck out of here with that, man. There are concerns that this usage could strain the local Memphis sand aquifer and potentially accelerate the migration of existing contaminants. Yeah, could strain the local Memphis sand aquifer. So that's what they use to filter their water. All right, residents in the surrounding predominantly black neighborhoods, which already suffer from high rates of asthma and other respiratory illnesses, have protested the facility's operations and successfully pressured local officials for greater oversight. What is that going to do? That's what they do. They pacify niggas. Yeah, we're going to give you some oversight here. We'll open the books and show you how much we're poisoning you. Are you going to shut up now? And then people wonder why we hate this world, man. Then people wonder why we hate the so-called white man. And people wonder why we want to be delivered from this shithole. There's nothing here for you, Jake. Who else is advocating for our people and mentioning these things, man? You know, let me grab this from the comments real quick. Brother Yasharala 1449 put Zephaniah 3:8. Therefore wait ye upon me, saith Yahweh, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them mine indignation, even all fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. You see, the Lord is going to pour out his indignation against these nations, because what have they done? They've destroyed us, man. Specifically Esau, Edom. You think China cares about the earth that they're polluting? This earth was given to the Lord's sons as a gift. And here you fucking heathen are polluting it, man. And you niggas out there got the nerve to want to include heathens in our blessing, man. When they have completely annihilated this earth, man. And more to come. They're gonna continue to do worse and worse. All right. But we can get back to going back to this. That brothers have anything? So back with this. All right, China flexes blockade capabilities near Taiwan on second day of military drills. We mentioned this, Justice Mission 2025. All right, and it said it's to demonstrate its ability to deter any external armed support for the self-ruled island that it has long insisted as part of its sovereign territory. The PLA's Eastern Theater Command, which, you know, that ties in with the title, all right? The title is what? Theaters of War, right? And it says the PLA's Eastern Theater Command sent destroyers, frigates, fighters, and bombers to the waters to the north and south of the island to test its ability in sea-air coordination and blockading. Its ground forces carried out long-range live-fire drills in the waters to the island's north and also organized live-fire training alongside simulated long-range joint strike with air, navy, and missile units in the waters to Taiwan's south, achieving what command spokesperson Li Ji called desired effects. All right, the maneuvers increased tension around the Taiwan Strait as 2025 drew to a close, but the impact extended beyond military pressure into everyday life. Taiwan's Civil Aviation Administration was notified that 7 temporary dangerous zones have been set up around the strait. The schedules of Taiwan's 4 international airports on Tuesday afternoon showed over 100 international and domestic flights had revised times, delays, or cancellations, according to their website. So this is big shit happening, man. All right. Xinhua, China's official news agency, posted a commentary late Monday saying the drill sent an unequivocal message that Beijing is always ready to prevent anything that tries to split Taiwan from China. Each escalation, it said, will be met with stronger countermeasures. By currying favor with the United States through obsequious loyalty gestures and promoting arms purchases, the DPP is binding the entire island of Taiwan to its catastrophic secessionist chariot, disregarding public opinion, it wrote, referring to Taiwan's ruling Democratic Progressive Party. 130 aircraft and a Chinese balloon detected. All right, and it goes on and on. You know, they got all this buildup around Taiwan. Oh, and also they have an issue. China has a big issue with Japan. All right, I'm going to read this part, actually. It says, under U.S. law, Washington is obligated to assist Taipei with its defense, a point that has become increasingly contentious with China over the years. Beijing slams Japan. On Monday, U.S. President Donald Trump said that while he was not informed of the military exercise in advance, neither was he particularly worried about it. He touted his great relationship with Chinese President Xi Jinping and suggested that he didn't think Xi was going to attack Taiwan. All right, the Taiwan issue also heightened China-Japan tensions. Beijing has expressed anger at a statement by Japan's Prime Minister, Sanae Takaichi, saying its military could get involved if China takes action against the democratically ruled island. There remains widespread overall suspicion in China about Japan that goes back generations to when Imperial Japan brutally took over parts of China in the years before World War II. So there's a lot of history and a lot of bad blood between a lot of these nations. And that's why we could get Joel, the 3rd chapter. And I got, let's see, we got that. And then there's one more article I want to touch on real quick. All right. Y'all got anything?
Yeah.
Oh, you got it? Show me y'all.
No, what you wanted?
Joel 3, you can start around, let me see. I think it's around 9, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, matter of fact, before you bring that out,
I go.
2nd Ezra 15, Baba Kushah, if you can bring that out, Shalom. 2nd Ezra 15 and 46. Read down to 47. All right, because again, this is all tying into the greater. Yeah, U.S. claims. Yeah, this the brother posted this article too. So there's so much going on, man. Well, the brother just sent us this. All right, I don't know if y'all can read it. But yeah, it said, I'll read it. U.S. claims attack on dock in Venezuela as missiles also killed 2 in Pacific. All right, so they said that it was loaded with drugs, yada, yada. Bunch of bullshit, man. They want the oil. All right, that's what it is. And they're seeing how far they could get. Which y'all, if you got 2nd Ezra 15, you bring that up.
Got you. 46, right? Start there. All right, got you. 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and verse 46. And thou, Asia, that art partaker of the hope of Babylon, and art the glory of her person, woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her, and hast decked thy daughters in whoredom, that they might please and glory in thy lovers, which have always desired to commit whoredom with thee.
Now check this out. I just looked it up with AI because shit, we using that shit to our advantage too. 2nd Ezra 15 and 46 through 47 is a passage from the book of Ezra, also known as 4th Ezra, part of the Apocrypha that pronounces woe upon Asia, representing corrupt worldly powers often linked to Rome/Babylon. All right, where is that? America. Because they're against each other, but really they're all in cahoots. All right, that's why he said, yeah, Xi Jinping, he's my friend and da-da-da, you know? But they're still rivals. But yeah, really, they're all supporting the same shit because they're all going to go and implement the MOTB system. Okay, Asia is well, I'll say China specifically in Asia and a lot of the other countries over there. Because when you think of Asia right now, China is the biggest player in that region. All right. And basically, they have modeled their society. Revelation 13 mentions that they should make an image to the beast. Right. And China has embodied that. They are like the brother read. Read 47 one more time. I'm sure.
Verse 47, it reads, woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her, and hast decked thy daughters in whoredom, that they might please and glory in thy lovers, which have always desired to commit whoredom with thee.
Commit whoredom, because they're in bed with the whore herself, the biggest whore there is, man. All right. And what have they done? They have decked themselves like Babylon. They've made themselves like Babylon, like the whore. All right. And decked themselves in her whoredom with technology, the social credit system. The way that the Chinese society is run right now, that is basically the wet dream of the elites of how they want the whole world to be run. All right. So again, what does it say here? For her idolatry and persecution of God's people, because they are part of our persecution. All right. promising severe judgment, famine, and devastation. Just because they're an enemy of our enemy, it doesn't mean that they're our friend. All right, they're our enemies too. All the heathen nations are our enemies. If we go over there in China and try to preach his word, man, they're gonna throw us up under the jail too. The Moabites hate us, man. All right, they don't hate us as much as Esau does. He hates us the most, but they hate us too. That's why Esau and Moab, they still linked up. But even Esau is linked up. You have Edomite elites that are fighting against each other. Moabite elites over there, they fighting. They all messed up, you know. They all at odds with each other. But it says, promising severe judgment, famine, and devastation as punishment, highlighting themes of divine retribution and the fall of wicked nations. So that's what we've been bringing out. The divine retribution is going to come when Yahweh Shai comes, and many of those missiles are going to hit China. All right, and obliterate, because we ain't gonna have Beijing in the kingdom of heaven. All right, ain't gonna be these damn wicked ass cities, these wicked ass Moabite cities, these wicked ass Ammonite cities in Japan. All right, we're gonna have to tear, you know, and whatever's left is gonna get torn down. All right, but the missiles are gonna take care of most of that. All right, leave them in ashes, man, and ruins. All right, so now we could go back and bring out, you could bring that out now, Shamya, Baba Kasha.
Con, this is Joel, chapter 3 and 9. You want 9?
That's a good place to start.
Con. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your
among the Gentiles, among these heathen nations, that they prepare their mighty men. That's what they're doing over there in China right now. They're getting ready to go. They're getting ready to dance, man. All right, and you know that, again, Trump is a liar. Me and Xi Jinping is cool, but when it comes down to the money, you'll cut his neck and he'll cut yours. So cut the shit, nigga. All right. But again, that's what he's gonna do. Like I said, like the Spirit had me say earlier, he's a spokesperson. So he's trying to keep the public relations up, but they might be on somewhat cool terms. Look, you had Trump in the limo with Putin, but they're gonna fire missiles on each other, man. All right, but the elites, the elites of these different countries, they think that they're gonna go into their bunkers when this happens, and then they're gonna come and rule over the world that remains. Like the phoenix, we always mention the phoenix rising from the ashes. That's how they see themselves, but that's not what's going to happen. All right, Yahweh Shai is going to chop the head off that phoenix, man. All right, but yeah, you can continue.
Verse 10, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong.
That's it. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. So that means what? The agricultural instruments, which is what those represent, take your money away from feeding your people, which is why we just read about the judgment with famines and different things. And then the Lord can have other plagues come to where their fields and their source of food, their bread basket is broken. Okay, but they're going to take it from agricultural means to feed their people. All right, and take it into what? Into war. The war budgets keep going and going and going. And then in China, they know how to build the same. They know how to build different rockets and different military, equipment for cheaper, and they mass producing it. So that's why America's like shit. They gotta do something to try to, level out the balance, because they're like, damn, Venezuela's right there. They going for that because Ukraine failed. All right. What they're doing with Iran, which we about to get into that real quick. All right. That failed as well, because they still clearly doing a missile program, but I thought it was completely obliterated. You see how they just blatantly lie, and people, they lie so much that the lies of yesterday is forgotten, and then they prepare new lies for today. Okay, but yeah, you could continue.
verse 11. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Uh, Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be wakened, and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about.
That's it. The valley of Yahweh Shabbat, Yahweh's judgment. And they're being gathered, all right, ultimately for their judgment. All right. And eventually they're going to be down there in that region of the Levant. Okay. Whatever's going to happen, and a lot of it is going to have to do with Iran. All right. And what's going on with Iran and Israel. Okay. Which the Iranians in the Bible are the Persians. All right. So it says, or you could, you read 13?
Verse 13. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great.
Yep, the sickle. Yahweh Shai is going to, reap that harvest, and he's going to destroy them. All right, and then you can read 14, and then I'm going to get this article. We get ready to close this out.
Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision.
Mm-hmm. Multitudes, and that's going to be all of them that get decimated by Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, all them armies, man. All those mighty men that are preparing for war. Yahweh Shai, or as we read, the brother posted Zephaniah 3 and 8. The Lord is going to rise up to the prey. He's going to pour out his indignation, his fierce anger upon them because of what they're doing. Rising up, trying to establish the new Tower of Babel. All right, but this is I'm going to just breeze through this. Brothers can bring out precepts or points. Just feel free to interrupt me whenever, and I'm going to just read some of this. This is from jurist.org, Jurist News. Okay, it says Iran president declares full-fledged war with U.S., Israel, and Europe. So they already know that something is coming. That's why they're doing that. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian stated Saturday that his country is engaged in a full-fledged war with the U.S., Israel, and Europe, describing the multifaceted pressures on Iran as far more complex and difficult than the 1980 through 1988 Iran-Iraq war. The remark appeared in an interview published on the official website of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. In my opinion, we are in a full-fledged war with America, Israel, and Europe. So they're already saying we in World War III. It just hasn't gone nuclear yet. All right, but we in World War III, and people are just, stuck in their own world, man. Stuck in their own box, tunnel vision of NFL, New Year's, Christmas, birthday, job, social media, women, drinking, alcohol, just numb yourself into a drunken stupor and have no idea about any of these things happening, man. All right. That's why Yahweh Shai said, matter of fact, I'm gonna just read it. I'm gonna misquote it. But he mentioned about fighting, right? This is Luke 21:34. And take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with fighting and drunkenness. Your fighting is basically when you have a hangover and cares of this life. And people are spiritually hungover, man, and cares of this life, and so that they come upon you unawares. It ain't going to come upon us unawares because we're in the light. All right, we're in the know. All right, we are continuously speaking about these things. So we're not going to get caught unawares, man. We don't know the exact date, but we ain't going to get caught unawares because we're paying attention to the signs of the times, man. All right. So it says, in my opinion, we are in a full-fledged war with America, Israel, and Europe. They do not want our country to stand on its feet, Pezeshkian said, accusing Western powers of besieging Iran economically, culturally, politically, and in security matters. How are they doing it culturally? They want you to adopt sodomite culture, man. They want you to adopt a man with a man. That's okay. You know, they want you to adopt feminism. That your woman should be okay. That's why these women from these other countries, man. You know, when I was younger, I even dated a few of them, man, and they become Americanized and they forget all about their country, man, and those things. You know, they get into rap culture. They get into, you know, American nigga culture, because that's what they use niggas to push that wickedness.
Whole culture.
Whole culture, yep. You know, and before you know it, they turn into thoughts, man. Feminist and thoughts, man. And meanwhile, in your country where you from, you go over there, they don't allow none of this shit. But then you come over to America and you get that liberty. So they at the point where they want that in your country too now. All right. And through social media and through the internet, they've been able to push these things more. But it says culturally, politically, and in security matters. He contrasted the current situation with the Iran-Iraq war, noting that the earlier conflict involved clearly military engagements, whereas today's pressures are broader and more insidious. They want your soul, man. You know, they want you to implement that Karagma, that MOTB. They want you to put that technology surveillance under the skin. All right, like a demon Harari said. Pozeskian warned that any renewed attacks by Israel or the U.S. will face a more decisive response, while asserting that Iran's military is now stronger than before the June 2025 conflict. The 12-day war in June was triggered by Israeli strikes on Iranian military, nuclear, and civilian targets, with subsequent U.S. involvement in response to Iran's increased uranium enrichment in late May. The war resulted in approximately 1,100 Iranian deaths, including senior commanders and nuclear scientists, and 28 fatalities in Israel from retaliatory missile barrages. All right, so they're ready to escalate, you know, at any moment now. And basically, one more thing, and then we could, you know, close this thing out. But Trump said something on X, I think it was, that something big is coming. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, look at this. I'm going to the Nero Caesar's, all right. President Donald J. Trump meets with Israeli PM Netanyahu. We had a big meeting with a lot of people, and I think we came to a lot of conclusions. And what are those conclusions? Setting up the agenda for 2026 on what theaters of war is going to be advanced upon, and what moves are about to be made. And we're about to see it all play out, man. I'm trying to think. And then they said, oh, he forgot to even go into Ukraine and Russia, but that's all right. So many things going on. But they basically just tried to assassinate Putin. All right. And today, they also did try to do a drone attack on Moscow in the midst of them doing these so-called peace talks. So do they really want peace? No. All right. Esau come to these peace agreements with a dagger behind his back. All right. So they know what time it is, man. So, you know, that's pretty much it. You know, the point's been made. Y'all brothers got any other points? Precepts? Come on. So, you know, Lord's will, y'all were edified. You see the time that we in. All right. There's a lot of things going on, man. And prophecy. All right. Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai is making the move, because as we were going into all these different armies and what they're doing, remember, the Lord is the Lord of hosts. All right. The Lord of armies. And he's controlling all of these different pieces that's on the board. The king's heart is in the hand of Yahweh. So the Lord is controlling them all for their own judgment in the end. All right. So, hey, stay locked in, watch and pray that you enter not into temptation. So I'm going to go ahead and give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Akakudash. Hey, double honors and apostle, Shalom.